All right, folks, welcome to week one of your breakthrough year, an exclusive program that's going to give you a week by week rundown of the step by step strategy that you need to be able to enhance your professional life, your career goals, finances, health, productivity, you name it. This program is meant for you to go through a systematic, day by day run through of all the things that really goes into success. So not only are we going to talk about things that are related to, very technical steps in what you should be doing in your career, how you should be managing your schedule. We're also going to be talking about a lot of success principles that'll really help you change your perspective and the mental wiring that you were born with about what drives success in the everyday person. If you're like most people that grew up in the world, chances are you didn't pop out of the womb with a silver spoon in your mouth. You weren't born into massive wealth and riches, but you've always had the drive and the ambition for success. So today, in week one, what I really want to be able to get you to understand is the first thing that you need to be able to do as you're trying to have a breakthrough year is you have to get very detailed about your reverse engineering. See, you just can't walk into a year and just expect it to be good by accident. You can't expect it to just be a breakthrough by magic. In order for you to be able to have a breakthrough year, that means that you're architecting a breakthrough in your life on a day-to-day basis. And then once the year is over, we're able to look back and see all of the accomplishments that have come. So in today's video, we're going to talk all about reverse engineering. Now, I know that, for some of you guys, you've probably heard me talk about this concept before, whether it was on previous coaching calls, maybe it was on YouTube, maybe it might have been in other different consulting sessions that I may have done. But I really want to give it a deep dive in today's lesson. So in order for us to get started with this topic, I want to be able to go through a very, very classic, fundamental, and powerful book when it comes to building your success. And that is Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? As you can see, powerful lessons in personal change. And for those of you guys that want to be able to go ahead and get the book, I'll make sure that I put a link up so that way you can get it on Amazon. But in today's particular video, I want to be able to share with you guys just an excerpt from 2 key pages out of this book. And this comes from page 98 and page 99 of the edition that I have. And it is based upon the second habit of highly effective people, which is to begin with the end in mind. Another way of saying reverse engineering. Okay, so I'm going to read this and just follow along with me. And I'm just going to kind of break this down as I talk through. So the author Stephen Covey says, to begin with the end in mind means to start with a clear understanding of your destination. It means to know where you're going so that you better understand where you are now, and so that the steps you take are always in the right direction. It's incredibly easy to get caught up in an activity trap in the busyness of life, to work harder and harder at climbing the ladder of success, only to discover it's leaning against the wrong wall. It is possible to be busy, very busy, without being very effective. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about as we kind of open up today's video. Think about this concept of you climbing the ladder of success. Now, you can climb the ladder of success all day long. You can try to do a lot of great things. You can try to, amass this great wealth. You can try to make yourself as productive as you can in your day-to-day business and your day-to-day schedule. But what good is all of that if your ladder is leaning up against the wrong wall? See, you may be wanting to build a business, but because of the fact that you haven't actually reverse engineered the makeup of your business, you could be leaning your ladder up against the wrong wall. You could be spending all of this time on marketing, social media strategies, coming up with funnels, but you may not actually understand what the process is of generating revenue. You could be trying to, get a better job. But are you using a resume and a presentation style that's actually geared towards that of next level success? Because you may be using the resume that got you in your current position, but it's not going to get you in a better one, because the people that are in better positions, they have a better approach. So what the author is pointing out here is that it's not enough for you in your life to just get up every day and just try to go to work and just try to get something done and try to push forward something to be a success. You've not only got to be able to climb up the ladder, you've got to make sure that that ladder is up against the right wall. And the wall is really a proverb for your objectives, your goals, the strategic direction that you're moving in to be able to get you to a certain place. Okay, I'm going to read further on this. It says, people often find themselves achieving victories that are empty, successes that have come at the expense of things they suddenly realize were far more valuable to them. People from every walk of life, be it doctors, academians, actors, politicians, business professionals, athletes, and plumbers, often struggle to achieve a higher income, more recognition, or a certain degree of professional competence, only to find that their drive to achieve their goal blinded them to the things that really mattered most and now are gone. How different our lives are when we really know what is deeply important to us, and keeping that picture in mind, we manage ourselves each day to be and to do what really matters most. If the ladder is not leaning against the right wall, every step we take just gets us to the wrong place faster. We may be very busy, we may be very efficient, but we will also be truly effective only when we begin with the end in mind, right? So I want to be able to highlight some of the fascinating distinctions that this author pointed out. And really, for those of you guys that have already read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People at one point in time in your life, I would really encourage you guys to read it again, because even though the information stays the same, your perspective up to this point on life in some ways has changed. You've gathered new insights professionally. You kind of see things better for what they are. In some ways, you have matured. And so you've got to be able to understand that when you're approaching the material, you're reading this all over again with new eyes. I really want to be able to show you guys what the author was getting at when he was writing this here. What he was saying was, one problem that happens when you don't begin with the end in mind on any endeavor that you get yourself into is you spend so much time trying to get good at a game, but you never actually take the time to actually think about if it's a game worth playing, right? So I'll give you an example. You got a lot of people that are in the world today that, are focused on just kind of looking the part, right? And, they'll spend a lot of time on social media trying to portray this false image of a life that they don't really live, and they will rack up credit card debt and all of this other type of debt to try to live a certain lifestyle that they feel is in alignment with the media. But is that the best utilization of time? Is that the right game to play? For some of you guys, maybe you're deciding that you want to be a business owner, and maybe you've recognized that you working in a certain profession or a certain job, you've been putting your ladder up against the wrong wall. You've been playing the wrong game. The whole time you're trying to climb this corporate ladder at somebody else's corporation, when you really look within yourself, deep down inside, You want to be a builder. You want to be a producer. You want to be able to create something to be able to call your own in a business capacity. So the first thing that makes reverse engineering and beginning with the end in mind so important is your ability to actually step back and think about, am I playing the right game? It's so easy to get caught up in the activity trap and say, oh, well, I don't have time to think. I just got to go, 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 go. Right? Everybody's just going. But everybody's going, but they're not thinking about the destination. They're not thinking about where their efforts are actually taking them. If you want to be successful in life, you have to actually take a step back before you get started and recognize whether or not the path that you're walking is actually going to take you to the right place. And lastly, when we were talking about how, once you're able to think deeply into whether or not this is, the right game for you, notice the last couple sentences that he had said here. I'm going to read it again. It says, if the ladder is not leaning against the right wall, every step we take just gets us to the wrong place faster, right? So you could be doing a lot of things within a day. And if you're just judging the success of your day just on the basis of, how busy you were, how many hours that you spent working, a lot of times that's the wrong lens, because you can spend a lot of time working and slaving and grinding away at the wrong thing. The real measure of true effectiveness and true success, as you would like it to be, is, are my efforts connected to my end goals? Not the superficial goals, not the thing just for a moment that you're not even going to care about in 1 year from now, right? 2 years from now. In order for you to be able to have a breakthrough year, you will have to have accomplished something that has sustainable value in your life for years on end. So if you're only checking the box on things that's just winning for today, but you're not even going to remember what you did tomorrow, that's not going to create a breakthrough year. So if you are not beginning with the end in mind, and you base all of your success on just climbing a ladder, you could be climbing up the ladder as fast as you can. You could be the world's fastest person to climb up a ladder. But it only means that you're getting to the wrong destination faster than everybody else. It doesn't guarantee that you're ever going to get to the right destination. You're just going to get to the loss faster. Because the real loss is not being connected to your real self, your real ambitions, your real goals in the first place. It says, if the ladder is not leaning against the right wall, every step we take just gets us to the wrong place faster. We may be very busy. We may be very efficient, right? Think about that. Some of you guys, you got excellent to-do lists. You got productivity planners, you got calendars, you got, meeting reminders, alerts on your phones. You've got all of these life hacks on how to be able to do things faster. But notice what it says. It says, we may be very busy, we may be very efficient, but we will also be truly effective only when we begin with the end in mind. So do yourself a favor right now and truly take a step back and think about what you would want your life to look like if you were to pass away within the next 3 years. If you were to pass away within the next 3 years in your life, God forbid, what would you want to leave with the world? What contributions will you have wanted to make? What will you want people to say about your character, about your efforts, about the legacy that you have left? What will you want the world to say? All of this is very important because, again, if the goals and the aspirations that you have now don't come up as you think about your own mortality, if you were to be gone from this earth in just a few years, is it really a goal worth chasing? Is it really worth you investing so much time in any area if you don't even care that you made this part of your legacy tomorrow or next year or 2 years from now, or, once you come to the end of your life? These are all things that you want to think about in order to successfully reverse engineer your life. Because even though, as we run through this program, this is just, at an annual level, right? Just having a breakthrough year in 1 year. But really and truly, what I'm trying to get you to understand from this message is the only way that you can have one breakthrough year is if you're thinking about that year in comparison to your life in its full totality. A breakthrough year is only a breakthrough year if it opened a substantial door to the life that you want to have overall within a lifetime. So think about that as it pertains to this lesson. I'm going to read the next page and then we'll move on to the next point. So the paragraph on this leads with the title of All Things Are Created Twice. Listen to this. Begin with the end in mind is based on the principle that all things are created twice. There's a mental or first creation and a physical or second creation to all things. Take the construction of a home, for example. You create it in every detail before you ever hammer the first nail into place. You try to get a very clear sense of what kind of house you want. If you want a family-centered home, you plan to put a family room where it would be a natural gathering place. You plan sliding doors and a patio for children to play outside. You work with ideas. You work with your mind until you get a clear image of what you want to build. Then you reduce it to blueprint and develop construction plans. All of this is done before the earth is touched. If not, then in the second creation, the physical creation, you will have to make expensive changes that may double the cost of your home. So think about that. Every creation begins first in the mind. If you set out to build a house, you've got to be able to first understand what features you want this house to offer, and then and only then can you actually write out the blueprint. You can't make the blueprint from scratch. The blueprint has to be sketched based upon some type of idea or some concept. And the thought and the blueprint takes place before anything is touched in any physical location with you putting a hammer and a nail into the ground. The author says, if not, then in the second creation, the physical creation of that house, you will have to make expensive changes that may double the cost of your home. And honestly, the real truth about this is how things have been in your life at some level up to this point. You've had a goal, you've had a dream, you've had a thought, you've had a wish, you've had a concept, but you have not done your due diligence in terms of the real true reverse engineering. And so, you may say, yes, I want to be able to have a house. But what happens is, by you not actually thinking through all of what will go into this house, and by you not sketching out the blueprint to understand how to actually build this house, to understand what this house will look like before you ever actually go out and get the materials to build it, what happens is you'll just skip straight from the idea to going and getting the hammer, only to leave yourself more prone to mistakes, injuries, all types of time wasted, all types of money wasted. A lot of times, when you do what the author is telling you not to do here in this passage, he's letting you know that you can have a goal that's not well thought out, and instead of it taking 1 year for you to accomplish, it's going to take 5 years for you to accomplish, just on the basis of negligence to the principle of reverse engineering. It's nothing that you did in terms of your physical activity. Just by you intellectually not going through the discipline of connecting the dots from step to step and mapping out your own life's blueprint, you overextend and prolong and make so much tougher your own life's work, all because of the fact that you underestimated the process. You didn't see value in modeling a blueprint. Instead, what you did was you had a very vague idea, and you thought that vague idea was enough for you to be able to build a house. So for some of you guys, you might say that you have a goal, and the goal is to build a business. That's no different than a person that says, I want to build a house, but they're going and they're getting hammers and nails and bricks and mortars and wood without having any idea of what's in the blueprint or how many floors they want the house to be. Where do they want the carpets at? Do they want marble floors or do they want another type of floor, right? You wouldn't do that if you were building a house, or at least I hope that you wouldn't, because you know that it's going to come with a failure almost guaranteed. So likewise, you don't want to do it when it comes to goals in other areas. The first creation before you do anything physically is in the mind. Your mind has to be able to envision it, right? And then you put the vision on paper into a blueprint to actually make sure that the vision that you have, it makes sense from a real life perspective or from a practical perspective. So I'll give you an example. For some of you guys that might be into blogging or writing or creating content, have you ever had this idea in your mind about this concept that you wanted to talk about? And when you just thought about it in your mind, at a general level, it sounded like really solid. You know, it was a really, really sound idea in your mind, a really good concept. But once you actually started to write about it or start to generate the actual content that will come from that thought, you start to realize that it becomes a little bit harder to take the thoughts that are in your head and put them on paper. Or maybe you start putting it on paper and you start to notice slight little discrepancies. Like it might have sounded like a good idea in your head, but once you're actually looking at it on paper and mapping it out, you may realize that there are certain things that conflict in what you're doing in your approach. See, that's the importance of going from having the thought to putting it on paper in a detailed way, like a blueprint, before you ever try to turn it into a physical manifestation. If you want to be successful on a really high level, I can guarantee you that your goal and your mission, your life's calling, is not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to build away at this house for days and days and days on end. And some days it may become windy. Some days you might get rained out. Some days you might recognize that you don't have enough materials. Some days you just won't feel like going to work to build the house. And so I want you to really come to grips with the fact that instead of just going out and just doing something and climbing a ladder, take a moment to actually think about the wall that it's up against, right? If you put your ladder of success up against a vague wall, where you say you want to build a business, but you haven't actually done the due diligence on, the details surrounding how to build that business, then you're only going to get vague results at best. If you make a ladder and you want to be able to climb up, a corporate ladder and get a promotion and get a raise and get all these bonuses and benefits and perks, how is that going to happen if your only goal is, I want to be able to make more money, right? There's a million ways for people to be able to make money. So why is life going to reward you with that benefit if you have not clearly thought out how to go about making more financial revenue come to play? You've got to be able to think about the wall before you actually put a ladder up against it. Okay? So it says, the carpenter's rule is measure twice, cut once. You have to make sure that the blueprint, the first creation, is really what you want, that you've thought everything through. Then you put it into bricks and mortar. Each day you go to the construction shed and pull out the blueprint to get marching orders for the day. You begin with the end in mind. For another example, look at a business. If you want to have a successful enterprise, you clearly define what you're trying to accomplish. You carefully think through the product or service you want to provide in terms of your target market. Then you organize all the elements: financial, research and development, operations, marketing, personnel, physical facilities, and so on to meet that objective. The extent to which you begin with the end in mind often determines whether or not you are able to create a successful enterprise. Most business failures begin in the first creation, with problems such as undercapitalization, misunderstanding of the market, or lack of a business plan. So I want you guys to think about that. And we're going to use this to segue into a business discussion, right? For those of you guys that are in this program that are entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs. For a lot of us, we have these business goals that we want to be able to accomplish, but we lack clarity on what we're actually seeking to accomplish. Like we say, I want to build a business, but what does that really mean? We say, I want to have a breakthrough year when it comes to my business, but what does that really mean? Based upon what we're reading right here, if you say that you want to be able to have a successful business, well, all successful businesses require revenue. You got to have sales. But then the question becomes, okay, well, what are my sales goals? What is the exact amount of money that I'm looking to make? Have you defined that to the exact dollar amount? Have you set a deadline on when you plan to actually get this money, right? If you're going to make a certain amount of money, well, how are you going to be able to market it to people to be able to actually generate sales? What's your marketing plan going to be? How many advertisements are you going to have go out a day? Are you going to be able to promote to people via a website? Are you going to promote to people via social media? Are you going to go around putting flyers on people's cars? What's going to be the marketing strategy that you're going to deploy to actually get enough prospective buyers buying from you at a certain amount, right? Because you just can't say, I want to make X amount of money, but then when it comes to your marketing plan, your operations plan, all of these research and development plans, all of these other plans, you have zero idea on having any of that thought through. I think it's pretty much fair to say that everybody wants to make money. The only way that you're actually going to make it is if you think through these components. So I want to go back to what he was saying again. It says most business failures begin in the first creation, right? Not the second creation. Remember, the first creation begins in the mind. It says most failures in business begins with the fact that you really didn't think it through. Not that you didn't work it through. Remember the book, Think and Grow Rich? It's not work and grow rich, it's think and grow rich. Because before you ever get to work in terms of a physical manifestation, you got to be thinking about it first in your mind. So it says, most business failures begin in the first creation with problems such as undercapitalization, misunderstanding of the market, or lack of a business plan. So, in other words, what that means is you go into a business and you don't really think through how much your business is going to cost in order to successfully run. You haven't thought through how much you're going to have to be able to expend on materials, payroll, on taxes, on marketing, all of these different tools, whatever the case may be. You haven't actually thought through how much that's going to cost to just have the bare essentials. So you can't build a legitimate business because you don't even know how much stuff is going to cost. And once you figure it out, you're going to realize you don't have the money to get all of those things. So you could be knee deep into trying to build a business that you don't even have the money to start. Undercapitalization starts first in the mind. Then it says misunderstanding of the market. I see this all the time. People will start a business, right? Just thinking that they're going to be successful just based upon having any message to share with the world. But have they really thought about, okay, what is the value that I'm delivering to the marketplace that addresses a need that the market wants? And do I know the market of people that's willing to buy what I have to offer? And how do I effectively market to them? See, there's a lot of different layers that goes into actually having the understanding of the market. You just can't have a product. You just can't have something and say, yeah, just take this toothpaste. Anybody will buy it. Even when you make something, whether it's a commodity or whether it's a product, a service, whatever the case may be, whenever you make something, you have to be making your product or your service with the understanding of who would actually care enough to spend their hard-earned money to buy this product or this service. And then once you understand who those people are, you've got to have enough savvy and communication skill to know how to be able to reach out to those specific persons and know how to be able to persuade them to take in the value that you have to offer to them. It's a process. And most people don't think about that process enough in the first creation, and they pay for it in the second creation. It takes time, longer time to build the business. It takes more money to redesign the business, all because of the fact that we didn't really go through the mental legwork that was needed the first time around. Thirdly, it says the lack of a business plan, right? So for some of you guys that might have been in some of my previous consultations, when I'll refer to the author in this context when he's talking about the business plan, it really all goes back to this idea that you've got to be able to understand where you want your business to go and when. And, there's some primary areas that you really need to be able to get this understood. Like a lot of times people know the 4 Ps: your product, your price, your placement, your promotion. Those are things that you need to be able to know as well. You need to be able to understand, okay, before I even get started in this business, how am I going to price these items? What's going to be the quality of my product? How am I going to go about doing the marketing for it? And how am I going to go about the distribution to be able to get this product from where it is right now to being in the hands of a customer? These are all things that you want to think about before you begin the physical manifestations of starting a lot of businesses, okay? So in closing, I really want to be able to address some final points. Number one, in order for you to be able to have a truly breakthrough year, and this is the very first video out of the 52 weeks in a year, because this is the most fundamental video that I can do for you to be able to start off a year in its proper form. No matter where you are in terms of your success, in terms of your location, in terms of your gender, in terms of your race, you need to be able to first and foremost understand that if you want to be successful at a really high level, right, you have to understand that you got to avoid intellectual laziness. Intellectual laziness means that you have a dream or you have a thought, but you don't actually do the due diligence that's required to bring that thought to life. Everybody has a goal and a dream and an aspiration about what it is that they want to do in the world. But what separates you from every other person should be that you've actually thought it out. You've thought that through. So when it comes to you in being able to get your way out of debt, don't just say, I want to get out of debt. Write down the exact dollar amount that you're looking to eliminate in terms of your debt and your finances and when it's going to happen. You should be writing down exactly how is it going to happen. So if you say that you're going to get out of $30,000 in debt, okay, when are you going to get out of $30,000 in debt? Is it going to be tomorrow? Is it going to be 2 years from now? And what is the plan for you to be able to execute based upon that timeline? Because if you don't have a plan, how are you ever going to get there? Your talent's not going to be enough. Just head smarts, it's not going to be enough. You have to think it through, and then you have to you have to be able to execute based upon this formalized plan that you have established. Okay? So when it comes to your money, when it comes to your business, when it comes to you getting a better job, when it comes to you starting a new project, when it comes to you starting a new book, you've got to be able to think through your deadlines, the quantifiable goals and milestones that you're trying to reach in all of those specific areas, and what the action plan is to get you from point A to point B. If you want to lose weight, don't just say, I want to lose weight. You've got to be able to say, I want to lose 30 pounds by November the 30th. And in order to accomplish that, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week for 45 minutes every single gym day. You've got to be that specific in order to accomplish it. And even at that level, once you get to the gym, what are you going to do? You got to be able to have a workout plan. See, success rewards the deliberate. It's not just going to be some vague thought and vague idea. And a lot of times we allow ourselves to stay comforted in that vagueness when we allow intellectual laziness to creep in. We don't actually want to think through the implications of having a successful business. So we just say, yeah, I just want to start a business. We've heard other people say it, so we'll say that. We don't want to actually think through the steps of getting out of debt step by step. So we'll just say, I want to get out of debt. And our brain, knowing how intellectually lazy that we're becoming in that moment, it's not triggered and activated to take the goal seriously. The only way that the brain is going to subconsciously have a level of urgency to even get to accomplishing these goals is if you give it specific targets to aim at and hit every single day. If that doesn't happen, it's just loose talk. All right? So avoid intellectual laziness. Intellectual laziness means being too vague, not thinking through the steps, just saying something and it's super vague, nothing quantifiable, no deadlines, no date, no targeted results, right? Avoid that at all costs, because vague ideas will lead to vague results. You're going to climb up the wrong ladder in doing that. You're going to climb up the wall of vague, okay? Then what you want to be able to do, for those of you guys that are business owners, Apply this to what you're doing in your business. If you're starting a business, think about the different areas that I told you guys today. Think about your revenue goal. Don't just say, oh yeah, anywhere between 500,000 to $1 million is good. No, it's not. You need to be able to have an exact goal, exact dollar amount. It has to be specific. Measure twice, cut once. Does a good carpenter say, oh, well, you know what? I could cut anywhere between 50% to 100% of this off and it's going to look good? No. It's exact precision that they're using to be able to make a masterpiece in their craft. And you got to be able to do the same thing. So for those of you guys that are business owners, when it comes to your business, start off with the 4 Ps: product, price, promotion, and placement. How much are you going to make every single year? How are you going to price your products? How are you going to promote those products? What marketing tools are you going to use? What's going to be your top levers? How often are you going to market? What specific types of content are you going to put out? Who's in your target market to view your promotions? How old are they? Are they male or female? Are they in the States or are they abroad? Do they like, certain hobbies over other hobbies? These are all things that you have to think through if you want a better shot at success. And all those things should be thought through before you even start climbing the ladder, right? Promotion, placement. How am I going to distribute it? How am I going to put it in the hands of the right people? Okay? Reverse engineer for those of you guys that are focused on your career, if you're getting a job. Okay? So again, when it comes to you all, you may want a better job. You may want a raise. You may want a promotion. Everybody wants something. What we have to think about is who's the right type of people that qualify for that role, right? What skills do they possess? What are they bringing to the table? I've worked with clients in the past that have wanted particular jobs, but maybe they didn't have the right education for it. They didn't have the right certification, and they really didn't think about the plan to go about getting these certifications in order to get the job. They just spent so much time fantasizing about the job. You could fantasize about the job all day, but that's not going to make the job come. It's not like, some of you guys have heard about the book, The Secret. You're not just going to be able to just sit up and just dream your way into being able to get your dream job. You've got to be able to actually put things on paper, work at it every single day in order for you to become the right person to achieve that goal. Because you're not going to get out of life what you want. You're going to get out of life who you are. Your life is going to be the reflection of who you are in terms of your financial value, in terms of your health and the things that you value there. Your body's going to be a reflection of it. Your bank account is going to be a reflection of it. Okay? So for those of you guys that are in kind of this working space at the job and you want to be able to get better jobs or you want to be able to better perform well, begin with the end in mind. Okay? Think about the exact job that you want to get, what qualifications you need to have, what's the fastest amount of time that you can get it. Think about all of the mentors that you could be aligning yourself up with that are already in that position or greater to help show you how to get it. All of these are components and variables that you have to take into account in order to really make yourself successful. Okay? So in closing, this is going to be your very first assignment for this program. I want you to be able to select one specific goal, and I want you to be able to write out the end first, and then I want you to show me the steps that lead up to it in sequence. Okay? I'm going to say that again. The first assignment for you in the first week of the breakthrough year is for you to begin with the end in mind by mapping out what you want the end to look like for your goal. What do you want the end game of your business to look like? How much money will you have wanted to have made? How many customers will you have wanted to have? Where will you be marketing this? Where will you be featured? What type of lifestyle will you be able to live as a result of building this business? What's going to be your working schedule? I want you to think through these components. Begin with the end in mind, and then I want you to write down all of the different steps that would lead up to that. Don't be intellectually lazy. If you tell me one step, I'm going to tell you you're full of crap. It's got to be a multiple step process in order for you to connect the dots from A to Z. All right? This is not going to be a overnight thing. You're not going to be successful overnight. Operate under this process. Begin with the end in mind. Have the end goal written out. And then write out all of the other steps that you know needs to lead up to this. Okay? Be very specific. Be very clear. Because clarity precedes mastery. All right? Send me this. You can email it to me, Isaiah@iwannabesuccessful.com. Send it to me. Send me a message on the Facebook group. Let me know that you have sent it. I'll go check it out. I'll review it. And then I will look at some of you guys, and I'll be able to provide a lot of feedback based upon what you have given to me. Okay, that's what will be the reward of this assignment. Really, this is just to get you in the mind frame of actually planning things out. Because even though this may feel like a lot of work up front, in actuality, you're going to be saving yourself years of headache doing all of this now. When you don't do this, you actually prolong your timeline to success. It becomes more expensive, more costly. Do yourself a favor and work on this now. All right? So I'll see you guys in next week's video. Get to work on this assignment. See you around.